So one of the things that you have to be able to do is add and subtract complex numbers. And so what we have here is, here's a complex number, 7 minus 5i. See, it has a real part and it has an imaginary part. Here's negative 3 plus I. It has a real part and an imaginary part. What is the imaginary part here? If there's no number in front of the I, well then there's a 1 there. So this is like the same thing as saying negative 3 plus 1i. We're adding these two together. Well, basically all we do is we add together the real parts, and then we add together the imaginary parts. And then we add the two separate pieces together. So this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to put a parenthesis, and I'm going to do 7 plus negative 3. I'm going to put the negative 3 in parentheses. There we go. So 7 plus negative 3. Then I'm going to put a plus in between. Then I'm going to do negative 5i. I'm going to put that in parentheses, negative 5i. I like putting negatives in parentheses. It helps separate, right? Plus I. And now we're going to do these pieces separately. You may need a calculator for this. You may have to key in 7 plus negative 3. And it's the same thing as 7 minus 3, so this becomes 4 plus, and negative 5i plus I is the same thing as negative 5i plus 1i. Well, negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4. So this is negative 4i. Now, it's 4 plus negative 4i. Well, this negative takes over the plus. So it actually becomes 4 minus 4i. And so this, another way you can do it is just 7 plus negative 3, that's 4. Negative 5i plus I, that's negative 4i, so 4 minus 4i. For subtraction, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to subtract. We're going to take the negative 4 and subtract away the real part over here, negative 7. So we're going to have negative 4 minus negative 7. Note, I have the minus, and then the negative in the 7 goes in the parentheses, minus negative 7. And then, now listen, you're seeing a minus here. That minus is accounted for here. So we're going to put a plus in between. Then we're going to do, the minuses are accounted for inside the pieces. That's why we put a plus here. So now we're going to do 2i, we're going to put a parenthesis, 2i minus, accounting for the minus, negative 8i, parenthesis, negative 8i, okay? So now, negative 4 minus negative 7. If you were to put that in a calculator, this is negative 4 minus a negative, so this becomes a plus. Negative 4 plus 7, that's 3. Plus 2 minus negative 8i. Well, minus negative, that means plus. So we got 2 plus 8i, and that's 10i. And so this becomes 3 plus 10i. I'm going to do a couple more here. I want you to notice I'm doing the same complex numbers here. I'm going to add them here, but I'm going to subtract them here. 6 minus 5i, and then plus 8 plus 7i, but over here it's minus 8 plus 7i. So we're going to come out with different answers because adding and subtracting are different, right? So we're going to do 6 plus 8 plus negative 5i, plus 7i. Okay? 6 plus 8 is 14, plus negative 5i plus 7i is 2i. And so we wind up with 14 plus 2i. But if we subtract them, we have 6 minus 8. Then we have plus negative 5i, minus 7i. Well, 6 minus 8, that's negative 2. Plus, here, negative 5i minus 7 is negative 12i. So that's negative 12i. But we're not going to write it like this. This negative is going to take over this positive. A negative and a positive multiplied makes a negative. So this is negative 2 minus 12i. That's the final answer. And that is adding and subtracting complex numbers.